Our next guest is one of my old friends that I've been doing karate with for almost 17 years now. He is a husband, not my husband, but he is a husband and a father of 3. You will hear some of his triumphs and struggles of his karate journey. He is known in this area as one of the most feared kumite people to come up against, but no, he is pretty good at kumite, just saying. You will hear more of that in his journey of becoming a second Dan black belt, one of the select few to have achieved that level in this area. Here is his story. I welcome you, Bill Simpson. How are you?
Good, mate. Good to be a part of this initial podcast, and hopefully it goes well for you.
So tell me a bit about you. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Penrith, New South Wales, although I don't go for Penrith in NRL. I go for Parramatta, but Penrith, New South Wales.
Is there a reason for that? Did you just not like Penrith, or is it
My mum
just had a really bad team at the time?
My mum actually went for Penrith. She's no longer with us, but she went for Penrith because her youngest, me, was born there. But I went for Parramatta because in the mid-80s they won their grand final, and I went down to Paraleagues and see them on the back of the truck.
They did have a pretty good team back in the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
What's the name of your school you went to? Primary and high school?
So I grew up around that Chester Hill, Guildford area in Sydney. So Chester Hill North Public School was the school that I went to, but I did defer from that. We moved to the country for a little bit to a little town called Coolabah.
Coolabah. Just tell us whereabouts that is in relation to Sydney.
So Coolabah is about 8-9 hours drive west of Sydney. It's 2 little towns before Burke, out in the west, and then we actually moved back to Sydney, and I went to Chester Hill High School after that.
Lovely. How many siblings do you have?
This is quite a big family, so I'm the youngest of 14. The
14
very last. It
people.
took them that long to get it right.
So you're the youngest, so
I'm the
you
youngest,
were
I'm the
obviously the one that they perfected the most. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes. My brothers and sisters will tell you that I'm the most spoilt one, but find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, so the rest of them are all turds and you're the perfect
Yes.
one. Yeah.
You know my family, do you?
Well, my parents stopped at me. I thought, why go past perfection, hey? Did you do any sports as a young boy in Sydney?
Yeah, I did. I played rugby league quite a bit, and I was actually okay at rugby league. I played for Granville Diggers, and then I went to Chester Hill Hornets, and went there for a good couple of years and made a few rep sides, and then went and played for Fairfield Patrician Brothers in rugby league, and we ended up beating Wentworthville, that's been undefeated for 16 years. We beat them in the grand final.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But also in between those rugby league days, in the off seasons, I done boxing for 2 years and also judo for a couple of years. I was actually quite enjoyed judo. I learned a lot from judo. It's actually quite a good sport. There's a big trophy with my name on it down at Fairfield Cabravale Police Citizens Youth Club. Was where I done those 2 sports, and yeah, I've actually cherished those 2 sports. They've been pretty good.
So, did you get far, like in the what sort of belt ranking system did they have in judo? Where did you get to?
So yeah, I done judo for only about 2 years. Went in a few tournaments, and my highest tournament was I got second. I actually sparred another bloke that I played rugby league against as a young kid. So yeah, I ended up sparring him. He was a bigger kid. He was a prop forward, and I was a
skinny
runt of a outside centre.
Yeah, outside centre. I was going to say I was either inside or outside.
So
skinny little runt.
So their belt system is a little bit different than ours in GKR. They go up through. I only got to yellow belt, orange belt, something like
that. How far is that into the journey? You start off on white?
Yeah, white. I think there's a tip in white. Then it goes to yellow. Then it goes to orange, I believe, if I can remember correctly.
Very nice.
Yeah, only a short stint in judo, but I learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that is fantastic. What do you do for a living, Bill?
So I'm in the gas industry out at Roma. So I'm a pipeline operator.
Fart control.
Similar to that, yeah. So yeah, I do a 2-on, 2-off roster out at Roma. They've done for a couple of years. So yeah, pipeline in the gas industry. Prior to that, I was a bricklayer. So when I first started my GKR journey, I was a bricklayer, which is a very intensive and physically intensive job. Owned my business with a few people working underneath me. So in the start of my journey, it was a bit of a struggle to keep going to class and doing such a physical job.
Oh, you would have been so busy.
Being busy, and running a business. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's get on to your karate journey. Why did you join karate?
Well, the only reason I joined karate is because the kids, really. There was a knock on the door to join this karate club, and my wife actually said, it'd be good for one of the kids to start that, and they come and sat down with us. And
do you remember the name of the person that signed you up?
It was a lady. I can't remember her name.
Claire,
that's it. Yes, Claire. So she signed us up, and my wife said, why don't you go with her? And I'm like, what I just spoke about of working a physical job and running a business, and okay, yep, no worries, I'll sign up as well. So I did.
So you sort of didn't have the time to do it, but you made time for your kids
do
it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What year did you join GKR?
I think I've been there for almost 7 years, so that'll make it 2009, I believe.
I started in 2006, so I believe you were probably 2007.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
2007.
So I think you joined 1 year after I did. So this.
Well, it must have been
or almost
like
1 year.
A December, January sort of thing, because we had a look at our what is it? Our number.
The membership number on the new system. Yeah.
So mine is one number behind yours.
It is too. So it would have been very close within 6 months to a year, I reckon.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I'm putting it down to anyway. Okay. What region do you train in?
So I've been up here in Toowoomba since I started GKR. So that's part of the Region 10 area. So.
Do you remember the name of your first regional instructor?
Regional instructor, I think it was Sensei Andrew. I forget his last name.
That is correct. I forget his last name too, but yes.
He was a nice fellow, Andrew.
He was
Sensei
very
Andrew.
nice. He
very nice.
Had a lot of time for his students.
Yeah, he did. I think he went over to England.
He did. Don't know what happened to him after that though.
Right.
I guess we could find out from Cancho, couldn't we?
Could do.
Yeah. If you tell us.
So now it's Sensei Kelvin, who holds the reins of Region 10. And
so Sensei Kelvin has obviously graded you a few times to the rank of black belt now. But let's come back to that one. So you joined GKR Karate for the first time back in 2007, roughly, and you've turned up to your first class with your daughter. tell us what was going through your mind when you first turned up. How were you feeling?
So
What was going through your head?
I was feeling quite nervous, but I actually hid behind the kid. Really, like I was like, the dad. Okay,
Yeah.
here you go. Here's your class, and
Don't be nervous, darling. Don't be nervous. Yeah.
So,
You're right. You're right.
Deep down, I was like crapping myself.
Yeah, good. I think everyone is.
It's quite
really
daunting walking in that dojo, and you've got some karate people there, and just trying to fit in and trying to do your best.
Yeah, and then they're all higher belts than you,
Yes.
apart from the white belts that joined around the same time.
Yes.
And like you're looking at the yellow belts, and you're looking at the green belts and orange belts, and you're going, wow, look at them, look, they're so far ahead of me.
Yes, they were.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly right. So who was your first sensei at your very first class? Do you remember their name?
Yeah, I believe it was Jim and Kim.
Jim Vidler.
Who used to do the Sunday session up here at Rangeville State School in the little hall
That's
up
going
there.
back some time now.
Yeah, it is. So Sunday mornings was up there doing karate with Jim and Kim, and they were senseis at the time, but they were very young and green at being senseis. I believe they were green belts.
I believe you possibly could be right there. I remember seeing them maybe even getting their belts. I don't recall, but they were quite low belts. So to be able to taking you guys through, they were perfectly poised to teach you guys.
Yeah, there was the both of them, so they could look over you and help you out, and it was really good.
Do you remember? Was it a big class? Higher grade students?
Well, the highest grade there was a fella named Kim, and he was a red belt. But it wasn't a huge class. It was only a little hall, so maybe 2 lines in the little hall. That's about it.
That's good. That's good. So you started around 2007. You've gone to your first class with your daughter. Did you go to any other classes, like anywhere else in Toowoomba at the time?
Not at the start. At the start, we just done the one class.
Just kind of stuck to the one little area.
That was on a Sunday, which was okay for us as a family. But as time went by, I did start to go to 2 classes. There was talk from the senseis that if you go to 2 classes, things will progress a bit quicker.
Karate will get a lot better.
And it did. Went to 2 classes a week. Went to Middle Ridge Church.
That's the over next to the Ridge Shopping Centre over there?
Yeah.
That is correct, yes.
And
I think that's where we first met.
Yeah, okay.
Over there, because I remember, I can't remember what bells I was at the time, but I remember in Woolworths afterwards, and we didn't actually meet at the class, but we ran into each other in one of the aisles at Woolworths. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
And
yes.
I actually spoke to you because I thought you were just a lowly little white belt at the time. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I was. Yes.
But yeah, no, we did have a very, very brief conversation in the Woolworths next to the dojo that night. I do remember that. Do you remember who was the highest belt up here in Toowoomba at the time? Was it a sensei or was it a student? Do you remember who was the highest?
Well, as the student, I just touched on earlier, Kim was the highest coloured belt student up here, and he was a red belt.
That was Kim Stevens, I think.
Kim
you're
Stevens,
talking about.
Yep. He was quite good, actually.
He was.
For what I seen.
He was very good.
I was still only a white belt, but the highest belt, I believe, was Sensei Justin.
Justin Otto. Sensei Justin Otto, yes.
And I believe Sensei Kieran was the same level or close to.
I believe you could be right there. They like all those guys. You got Sensei Shane McGregor, Sensei Marc Rhodes, Sensei Greg Millward, Sensei Justin Otto,
A little bit later, Sensei Adrian.
Sensei Adrian. Not so much Sensei Adrian at the time, but all those guys, they were still coloured belts, but they had Sensei belts on.
Yes.
Tell me about your very first grading.
So first grading was at Tarrastown High School, and Sensei Andrew he'd come up and he's doing his thing and looking over and grading people on that. Extremely nervous, like white belts and big class there and sweating like anything.
Because that would have been back in the old days of gradings too, not the gradings we have now.
Exactly.
Where everyone did the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Very, very daunting, but it's just one of those things that you go through. You sort of look back now and you think, it was quite easily back then, but you at that stage you don't realise it. But it was good. It was good. It was tough. It was
nerve-wracking. Very
nerve-wracking. And once you graded, I remember Sensei Andrew walked the class. After everybody had finished, everybody was off to their either parents or loved ones and whatever else on the outskirts. Sensei Andrew made a point to walk around and take photos and just just a quick general chat to all the students or parents or whoever. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. That was a very nice touch. I remember grading with Sensei Andrew a lot of times.
Yes, I can tell you about one of those gradings.
Please do.
About how you getting here.
Are you talking about me now?
Yeah.
I
think I was green belt. I was orange belt. You were green belt, and we done our katas. And
I feel your recollection could be a little bit fuzzy.
Yes. We done our katas, and after you'd done your katas, you went and sat down, and waited for the higher belts to finish theirs. But someone apparently didn't hear that he could go and sit down, and he stayed up.
That someone was in his own little world, to be honest.
Yes. He was looking for a double grading that day.
He possibly could have been, but it never happened.
No.
But I did get to do the kata, and in all fairness, the person that I did the kata with, when I went and sat down, she absolutely stuffed it up afterwards.
She did,
because I was not there to basically show her what to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So I remember that well. That's in my defence. Yes, I did not hear. I did not hear. So you did your first grading. When was the next time you graded? How long in between gradings was it?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of months. By the time you do your 2 classes a week, and you progressed quite well, you're doing your katas correctly, and they're looking over you, doing your stances and everything about karate as well as you can. It was only a couple of months, probably 6 months before I went for it again.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah. And so it should be too. When you're a low belt like that, you're not expected to be brilliant by any means.
No, that's correct.
Okay, which leads me into my next question. When did you start thinking that you were okay at this whole karate thing? And what level were you?
Yeah, I sort of got through that halfway period, and the sensei's up there saying this is halfway at blue belt, and not a lot of people sort of progress beyond blue belt. So I thought that was a bit of a challenge to me. So I wanted to keep going. I enjoyed it. I had a few kids that have done karate and left my kids that have left. So I've put all my kids through karate, but they done their thing and left. But it probably wasn't until about I hit that brown belt where I thought, I'm not too bad. Well, I don't feel too bad about this anyway. I felt quite comfortable doing katas, and the more time you get in front of your peers and do your katas, so everybody's watching, the more comfortable I got.
Okay. Have you gone to any tournaments? And explain your reasons why,
So
if you have or not.
the answer to that is no. I haven't gone to any tournaments. Like I said in the introduction, I'd been the tournaments through judo. Quite enjoyed them. They were all good. But the reason why I haven't been to any tournaments for GKR is one, you've got to be very disciplined in that kumite style. More disciplined than what you have to be.
Very point sparring, point
yes,
technique.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm a little bit selfish in this way. I sort of treat my karate as more of a self-defense, more of a street sort of fight where I can get myself out of, which is well away from that tournament style of kumite.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough too, and I guess in a way too, a social side of things that's getting you out of the house and and going hanging out with your mates at karate and training next to them.
And just another thing on that, I sort of, when I was running that business, I spent a lot of time away from the kids, and a lot of these tournaments and black belt seminars and all that cover weekends, and I sort of made a commitment back in the early days that I just wanted to spend as much time with my young kids as I can. So weekends were quite precious to me. They still are.
Yeah, they would be.
And unfortunately, the whole tournament side falls over weekends, which takes up your whole weekend. And I wanted to treat my kids to that, have full attention of me.
And that's fair enough, especially when the kids are younger and you're running your own business, and a lot of time has been devoted to the business, and sort of the kids, they don't get left behind, but you do have to spend a lot of time with the business. You've got to do paperwork and organise, delivery of goods and all that sort of stuff too. So now that the kids are older, would you consider going in a tournament?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But I don't know. We'll see how we go.
You heard it here first, folks. Bill is possibly going to think about going in a tournament, so we have it on record.
We'll see.
So you touched on a little bit of kumite before. What do you enjoy most about it?
Oh, I enjoy working on kumite. I enjoy adding things into my kumite. Maybe a little bit controversial. Isn't always GKR Karate. For instance, in the early stages to this conversation, I said that I was sporty, and I feel like I can pick up things quite easy by visual and do. So one of my latest ones, because I look a bit of that on my phone, your Facebook algorithm, it'll come up and it'll have all these little fight things on there. And,
yes.
And one of them recently is Mike Tyson. They had a couple of little grabs on Mike Tyson, and his uppercut is just unreal. And so I thought I might sort of work on that and see how it goes. So I tried it. Just come in doing your combo or kick and whatever else, and then finish off with that step to the right with that slight uppercut. And
it's worked well.
Well, there's virtually no defense for it because your arms are out here. The defender's arms are out here.
Yeah.
There's a big pocket there.
So you get nice and close and get up in there.
Yeah, I've got another couple of tricks that I enjoy. Kumite, I find it
I know one thing's for certain. I know you're like 10 times better than I am. I feel.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, I think so. I think yeah, you could, because you've done the judo stuff beforehand, like when you were younger. When I come up against you, I think in my mind, I think I struggle quite a bit. So, which leads me into the next question: who do you enjoy kumite against the most?
Well, there's probably a couple of people here. One of them's you, and I've learned a lot off you by what you've been working on at the time. And one of the biggest things I took away from you is that back in the early days of GKR, when you're a lower belt, you sort of come in and you do your 2 or 3 strike or kick melees, and then you back off, and then the other person comes in. And what you're working on the time is that time between the opponent finishing their melee and you starting yours, and you just shot straight in, and which helped me in a long way to identify that and start defending, start getting out of the way.
I know that's one thing you're really good at is reading the opponent. Really well.
I try that. The other person who was a really good sparrer, unfortunately doesn't do karate anymore, and I believe it's work commitments and family, was Justin from Westbrook.
Justin Hoffman.
Yes, he was unreal.
He was. He had the most wicked kicks.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
Yeah.
And he was tall too.
He's tall, and probably Gilly. He's no longer with us either in the GKR side of things. Brendan Gill, Sensei Brendan Gill.
He was fantastic.
He's probably 12 years younger than us, a lot fitter.
And the one thing about Gilly too is you could go 130% against both of you, and you wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you did get hurt, it was just like either you walking into it or just a complete accident.
Yeah, his control was unreal, and he could go to another level. 3
levels above that, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Go to that level, and then go another 3 above.
But control is a good thing when you're sparring. The people that you're sparring against, when they've got good control, they've got good space and distance, you can go to that next level. And
exactly right.
And you take a few body shots, you might get clipped, but not seriously. It's that person that you're sparring against who's got good control. You don't get a big clip out of it. You just a tiny one.
Exactly. So you're really good at reading the opponent.
Oh, well, I'd like to think so.
I think you are.
I'd like to think so. And I also brought a bit of a sweep in as well, which a lot of people...
That's sweet.
A lot of people don't like around here, but...
Well, it's a good sweep, and, it's not that we don't like it, it's just that it gets me. It gets me. Like I'm not great at sweeps by any means.
There's got a few people.
Yeah, I very rarely get someone down with a sweep, but I can. But it's I'm not as great as you are.
I remember.
Does that stem back from the judo days?
It does. Yeah, the old judo days. I remember Warren, or Senpai Warren now.
Senpai Warren.
Senpai Warren.
Yeah,
I got him a beauty with that sweep. He hit the deck so hard.
Let's just go over that. It's Senpai Warren.
Senpai Warren. He hasn't quite reached sensei status yet, but Senpai.
Yeah, Senpai Warren.
Also,
I just want to repeat that one more time. Senpai Warren.
Yes.
Tell us about your story. About the lead up to your black belt journey.
Okay, so there I am, brown belt, ready to go to black. I talked to you. You would talk to Sensei Kelvin.
Who was your instructor at that time?
Sensei Marc.
Sensei Marc. Would that be Sensei me?
Yes.
No, Sensei. That'd be me, folks.
So yeah, because you were sort of one step ahead of me in your belts, I that was kind of good for me because it was showing me that it's achievable and I could get there. I just had to be good enough. So the journey to that is, I remember when we first started to talk about it, we were at Harristown Hall, and you had mentioned it to Sensei Kelvin, and I was there, and Sensei Kelvin said, "Oh, just go up the hall doing long forward stance." So I did, and I remember him saying, "You can't even do long forward stance, and you want to be black belt."
Yeah, well.
So actually, you can take that two ways. I could kick stones and
hang the bottom lip down.
Hang the
and have a
bottom
big
lip up
silk.
and say, if you're not going to put me in black belt, I'm going to hand the keys in or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Classic.
I looked at that the other way and thought, well, if he's saying that, I need to be better.
You need
I
to
need
improve.
to be better.
Exactly.
So I did.
It comes down to a mindset.
Yeah.
And if you can you got two choices, like you said, you could mope, or you could pick yourself up and become better.
Exactly, and that's what I did. And on that black belt journey, you need to be a little bit selfish in a way that you got to, because I help out in class because I'm a high belt. I sort of put that aside, and a few of the senseis have asked me to help out when I was close to that journey of black belt, and I've actually denied them. I said, I'm here to train. I'm sort of getting close to that area where I need to be, and it's peaks and troughs. Like when you're heading to that black belt, you got to be a little bit selfish. You got to climb.
I totally agree.
You got to peak at the right time. You got to get all your katas right. You got to get all your punches and your kicks and all that karate stuff. You got to get right, and the only way you're going to do that is standing in line doing it. So, the black belt journey was quite challenging, but also quite enjoyable. I remember being down in Brisbane on the day. Heaps of people there.
Oh, there was.
Scared, crapping myself. But I tell you what.
And there's a lot more pressure. To me, it feels like for it to improve or to be good at a black belt assessment.
Yeah.
Than any other grading. Like, you still got those nerves at every other grading, but those gradings are an hour and a half.
Exactly.
These ones are like, they could be 3 hours plus.
Exactly. Yep.
So you got to be physically fit. You can't just half-ass your way through.
No, that's correct.
The grading or the assessment in this case. You gotta put everything into it and leave with nothing.
Exactly. Yep. And I remember achieving black belt and just quietly being proud of it. I'm not a person who sort of goes out and tells everybody, but quietly being proud of it. I remember turning up the next class that I went to, and the likes of you sort of presenting me to the class that I achieved that level. And but I tell you what, after that, you got your peaks and your troughs. Come down for a little bit, and still go in the class, but just sort of taper it down a little bit. And every person you come up against in Kumite just wanted to kill you.
Exactly. Yeah.
They stepped up because they seen a black belt in front of you.
You're a black belt now. They're like, wow, this guy must be good. He's a black belt.
Yeah, and I'm like just trying to take it easy, and these people trying to kill you.
But I found in my journey when I achieved black belt, I was actually trying to relearn everything when I got to that stage. I don't know if it was, like you're trying to rush through your coloured belts to get to that black, and then you want to do it. I don't know what you thought in that aspect of things.
No, I sort of enjoyed my journey through the colour belts. but the black belt is another story.
Well, we were both on our colour journey for quite some time compared to some people.
Some people,
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I think you touched on his senpai's name earlier.
Is that Senpai Warren at all? He double graded a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole
love you, Warren.
the whole experience of black belt was really good. The aftermath, you just felt like you're up against it every kumite. Everyone wanted to bring their level up.
It's still the same today.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is.
So you graded to Shodan Ho. Then tell us about that. So when did you grade to Shodan Ho? Was that in June or December?
I think it was a winter, so that was June.
That was a June grading.
Yeah.
So we get to December grading at our local dojo up at Harristown there, and a certain sensei tells you what?
So this is can't remember the whole thing, but the certain sensei...
I'll fill in the gaps, don't worry.
Certain sensei said to me, you got to turn up in your gi for whatever reason. I can't remember the reason.
I told Sensei, I told you that Sensei Calvin wasn't happy with some of your your grading, and he wanted to see you again.
That's right, yeah. So I turned up there. He just finished all the colour belts up here, grading all the colour belts and whatever else, and all the senseis are standing up the front, and there was me on the sideline in full kit, thinking that I'm going to have to jump into kata or kumite or something like that. And then all of a sudden, Sensei Marc steps up and talks about this belt, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe after that I'll have to come in and do kumite or kata or whatever like that. And then he turns and brings me in, and quite shocked. I got handed the one of the original black belts from Toowoomba, Sensei Kieran, who became a black belt. He handed that black belt down to Sensei Marc, who was next in line, and then Sensei Marc handed it down to me that day. So that was...
so we sort of started a tradition that day when, like previously, as Bill refers to, Sensei Kieran had handed me his belt in class. So I then had to wear that belt, not all the time, but I had to wear that belt, get my chi, I suppose, onto it, and then I came up with this great idea that I would make a commemorative box and put a plaque on it. And Bill was the first recipient of the Shodan Ho Region 10 black belt box with black belt.
Yeah. And that was quite a proud moment. It actually was up on my mantelpiece for a good year or so before the next person who became black belt, who I'd worked with, and I thought deserved that recognition, and then that was passed on. That was a very proud...
It's fantastic. It's great, isn't it?
It was a very proud moment to have my name on that belt, my sweat.
Yeah. It was great handing it over to you. Kieran's hard work, my hard work, now your hard work had all paid off. You graded to Shodan Ho. How long before you achieved first dan and our Shodan? And tell us about the lead up to that and the grading itself.
So I think it was, I'll have to check this, but I think it was over 12 months before I went for that next belt. Not that it
would have been close.
Yeah, not that I was in a hurry to get there, but I thought I was right at the time. I was peaking at the right time. Everything seemed to be good. Funny story, when we turned up to grading, because you were grading to second dan when I was grading the first dan.
Oh, it would have been too, yes.
So after knowing how the gradings go, so we're standing there before the grading started, and I just said to you, I said, hey, how about we take it easy on the warm-ups and the in-line stuff, so save ourselves for the kata and the kumite after it.
And what happened then?
Funny, just as I finished saying that, Sensei Kelvin walked past and he says, if I see you two take it easy, you won't be grading.
Sensei Kelvin is his sixth sense.
Yes. So,
I heard what you said. He probably didn't, but he knew.
Yeah, yeah. Hence, we put it in. You put that effort in, and by rights, you should be. If you're at that level, you should be. You should be putting that effort in the whole way.
Well, that's what we were talking about before, about putting in the effort and in the assessment and not leaving anything in the tank. And the same applies to the actual black belt grading too, because you're not guaranteed that you will pass.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, went through all the assessment, and the assessment was quite tough. And then you got your grading a month or so after that. So it was tough as well. I think we'd done that in the summertime that time.
That was a summertime. I don't know. I remember that well because the hall was about 10 degrees hotter than the outside, and outside was, I think, 30 degrees, or probably 28, 25, maybe, I don't know. But it felt like it was 10 times hotter in that hall.
So once again, the hall's quite packed. There's a lot of brown belts going for black. And I remember not long after we started, they started cooking a barbecue outside.
Oh, yes.
And all the smell was coming in through the...
It was nice, wasn't it?
Yes. And you're trying to concentrate on your moves and your kicks and your punches and whatever.
All you can smell is this food just coming through.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, can we just stop now and get some lunch?
Yes.
But the problem with that too is, like, I don't know how you felt afterwards, Bill, but I was stuffed and I actually didn't feel like eating. I think I had to force myself to eat.
Me as well. But yeah, good experience. It was my first belt with, that wider belt with the writing on it.
The bling, as people like to say.
Supposed to say my name down one side, GKR down the other.
So what does it really say? I
don't know, actually. I can't read it.
Chicken fried rice?
It could say anything. I wouldn't know. But a little bit harder to tie that belt because it's a bit wider. So, yeah.
So what year was your first dan grading, your Shodan Ho?
Oh, you got me now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good question, actually, and because I can't remember myself.
Funny you say that because I'm one of these people that don't show off my memorabilia. Like, my grading certificates and belts and whatever else were all stashed away in the cupboard. They're probably even crunched up. I don't know. I don't even tell family members or work people, workmates, or even my other sport, which is touch football. None of them know that I do or achieved what I've achieved in karate. It's funny. I don't tell hardly anybody at all, really, but sometimes I hear my family talk about it. My wife Gina will. I hear in the background she'll be telling her friends, "Oh, Bill's a first dan or a second dan black belt," and my kids, they'll be talking to their friends and saying, "Oh, yeah, Dad's a first dan or a second dan."
Just watch out for Dad, eh?
Yeah,
he'll kick your ass.
It's funny because I don't tell too many people at all.
Yeah, well, that's a personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't have to. Whatever. So you've achieved first dan. I'm thinking maybe around 2012, maybe 2012, 2013, possibly.
Could be.
So I can't actually remember when I graded to first dan, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you graded to then, and second dan for you was a little bit more of a stretch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I had sort of ran that high of, black belt and first dan, and I sort of, every now and then you sort of struggle with periods of karate, and so I sort of struggled after that and thinking, oh, do I want to go for another one? They're
Quite happy
hard.
sitting where you were.
Yeah, they're quite hard. You got to, what am I getting up to? How many katas are now that you got to remember? And I'm trying to add 2 more to it, and it's a bit of a struggle. Maybe not for everybody, but for me it was a bit of a struggle. Yeah. So
because you got it in the back of your mind, like you touched on just before, that they are extremely taxing on the body.
They are.
And you're like, do I want to put my body through that pain of a black belt grading again?
Yeah, and mind, might add.
Mind, yes.
And just remember, at this stage, I'm well into my gas industry, so I'm doing 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. So my 2 weeks out of work, you haven't got a lot of time to practice your karate.
No.
And you got a bit of time to do gym work, but not so much karate. You haven't got the area to do it. So my karate was only when I come home. So out of the month, I'd only do 2 weeks out of the month. So yeah, it was a bit of a stretch, but you know what? I was happy with that. It's my journey. There's no time period where you have to be at this level.
And I think from memory too, I probably pushed you to get that next level.
You
too,
did,
didn't I?
Yeah, you did. And just in that journey there, apart from the assessment, was quite tough again. Not only the assessment, we spent many of Thursdays down at Brisbane, getting in front of Sensei Kelvin, doing your katas, and him saying, this is wrong, you got to correct that, and so you go and work on it. And
exactly.
This is the early days prior to second dan, first dan, around that black belt period where still running the business, the bricklaying business, going down to Brisbane, finishing at 9:30 down there,
getting home at 11, 12, 1 even,
12:30, 1 o'clock, and then up for work the next day. So it was quite sort of, from that black belt period, it was quite taxing, and then left that job, went into the gas, two off. So around that second dan, there was between first and second, there was a good long time period, but I was happy with that. I was not in a rush.
No, I know. I remember that you weren't in a rush, and that you were quite happy just doing what you had to do to improve at the same time, but just stay where you were on the current belt level that you were.
Yeah, and then the push from you, which was good. I probably needed that little bit of a push. Everyone does.
And it's also I believe that you can do it. I had that faith in you to get to that next level.
Yeah, and so grading day, I believe that was in the summer as well, because you went for your third.
No, that was in winter time. Actually, yeah.
I
I like winter gradings, but they're still quite hot in Brisbane.
Yeah, I remember the whole grading. This is the first time my family had actually been down and watched me grade.
That's correct too. Yeah, they actually came down, but not only did they come down, there was about 5 or 6 of us from Toowoomba that were up for that. The grading at different levels, different black belt levels, at the same time, which made it even more special because you're not doing it by yourself. You're doing it with your peers that you train with.
Well, I actually, in my level, the second dan level, I done it with Sensei Greg, and also one of the first senseis that I started with was actually Sensei Kieran, who.
He was going for his second too, wasn't he?
Hand down. So those two guys were like up at this level all through my karate, and I actually come up to their level. And like everyone's on their own journey. It doesn't mean that I'm better than them because I got to the same level as what they.
You could have a yellow belt that's done another style before and be 10 times better than you.
Yeah. So
just because they're wearing a yellow belt doesn't mean anything.
And I had to help Sensei Greg and Sensei Kieran with the katas there at one or two stages.
True. That's
for
right.
them
You
to
did
remember
too.
the katas. So
You did too.
I was sort of quite proud of that. But I've got to say that the whole grading was really good, really tough. You got to be fit. You got to keep going in those gradings. Kumite, I remember Kumite. Remember I grabbed that sensei's leg?
Oh, yes.
What was his name?
Yes, that was Sensei Gary.
Sensei Gary.
I'm pretty sure
We were
Sensei,
sparring.
Sensei Gary Luxton. Yes, he did not like that at all. He was
No.
quite angry at you for doing
He
that.
was. So
That was you in your first time grading.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So what actually? We'll just jump back for that a bit.
Or was it Showdown? Oh, I can't remember.
One of those ones.
Yeah, one of those ones.
We were sparring, and this is before the rule come in that you can grab the leg. So you weren't allowed to grab the leg at that stage. So we were sparring away, and he's pretty good at the kicking, Sensei Gary.
He's very good.
The inside leg kicking.
Yes.
Just caned me.
I
Anyway,
remember, yeah.
He went for an outside kick, and I grabbed his leg. It was just a natural instinct to grab the leg, and he pulled up straight away, and he goes, "What's your name? What region are you from?" And I thought, "Oh God, I've blown it here."
Oh, he was so angry at you. You were in big trouble that day. I remember. I think I filmed some of it too. I think I still got it on film somewhere.
I got through that.
I'll
day.
have to find it, folks.
But so jumping back on the second dan, I remember it was a proud moment achieving second dan in front of my wife and kids. That was a proud moment. But I've got to remember after it, which is the most I remember, is after it, I can remember being completely spent to the point where I just couldn't get words out. I was just...
Yes.
I'd used everything. I couldn't even talk. On the way back, which is a 2.5 hour drive back to Toowoomba, I don't think I hardly said a word.
That doesn't surprise me because, like you said, you were spent.
Yep.
So, are there any inspiration? Have you got any inspiration to go to your next level?
Yeah, I do. I do actually. I'm getting through my katas now, getting them down pat with the help of you. I feel like I can handle another grueling assessment and grading. I'm working on my run to peak at that time. Still got a bit of a way to go, but yeah, I reckon I can get there. I reckon I'm good enough to get there.
Yeah, I think you are too. We just got to keep pushing every day and keep working on ourselves, because in the end, it's still your journey. It's no one else's journey.
Yeah, and I'll tell some of the viewers, along this way, I touched on it before about being a little bit selfish, and I can remember yourself and we would turn up to classes and check with Sensei that we could do katas down the back.
So you were saying that it doesn't hurt to do extras like fitness and extra kata and in the park.
Exactly, yeah. I remember we used to kit up and do katas at the Japanese Gardens, which is quite fitting, the heritage of karate.
Yeah, exactly.
Also Queen's Park on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, doing extras down there, katas, working on things, and I feel that you really got to do that to get to this level. You really got to put in those extras outside of your normal class.
I feel so too. I'm 100% agreement with you on that one. I believe this is just my thoughts only, but I believe that if you start working on fitness at least a year, the minimum of a year out from a grading.
Yep.
As well as your karate.
100%.
And you will not find the grading, the black belt grading easier, but you will last longer.
Yeah, you'll be able to get through it. You'll be able to do those, those stronger punches, stronger kicks for longer, even though that you're completely spent. by the time you get to your katas will be sharper because you're just that little bit fitter.
Exactly.
Your kumite will be a little bit sharper because you're a little bit fitter.
And you won't be getting puffed out. Yeah, you will be getting puffed out, but you'll get your second, you'll get your third, you'll get your 20th wind.
Yeah.
And you'll last a lot longer.
Yep. And in the sensei's eyes, they will see you go longer, look sharper, and there'll be no issue with you achieving that next belt.
Exactly right. What inspires Bill to keep doing karate?
What inspires me is a few things, actually. Is mateship. Since I've joined karate, you turn up and you meet people, and I've had the fortunate that some of these people have turned into good mates. I look forward to going to karate on particular nights because some of my mates will be there, and it's sort of a social thing. I'm an older man these days, and having that social thing there is good for my mental health.
Exactly.
And having that exercise there is also good for my mental health as well. And I enjoy karate. I enjoy helping other people, trying to achieve their next level.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And there's nothing more rewarding than helping someone to achieve their next level.
Yeah.
In the end, it comes down to the student training. They have to want it. They have to improve in themselves.
Yeah.
So, but you guide them and you help them along the way, and then they achieve something, and you're just as proud as they are for achieving that.
Oh, very much so, especially when they go to grading. Yeah, you've worked on them with kata for a few months with a bit of fitness as well, and you can see your little touch on their grading, their katas and whatever else. It's just a little bit of a proud moment.
Exactly right. So you touched that you help out in class, which is really good as a student, because your peers are seeing you do that. Why have you not become a sensei?
Good question. I've been asked this a few times, and I suppose it's only fitting, being one of the higher belts here in Toowoomba. Why am I not passing my knowledge on as a sensei?
Well, you are passing it on.
Well, I am.
You're just not passing it on as a sensei.
Because I do that 2 on, 2 off, like I spoke about earlier, and it's hard to lock down a class when you're doing that. But in saying that, I've got a few friends now that are senseis. One of them is still a senpai.
A senpai, Warren.
Yeah.
Is that who we're talking about here?
Yes, we are, and yourself. So I jump into those classes and help out as much as I can. If I'm asked to help out, take kids, take adults through katas, and I enjoy doing that.
It is very helpful as an instructor, and you're the only instructor that's there. The others are sort of turn up to train, and you want them to train, but you also need that help too, because if you have a new student turn up, you gotta either find someone to take that new student. That means someone misses out on training, or you go and do it, and then everyone misses out on you teaching them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we all sort of help each other, then the class can run a lot smoother, and everyone can get to train as well as get some knowledge.
Yep.
So, final question. Tell me 3 things why you go to karate.
So the main, three things, okay, is fitness, is friendship, and looking after your health, and that's physical and mental, like I touched on earlier.
That's great. That's a great answer. I like that. That's very good. Well, folks, that's all we've got time for. I'd really like to thank Bill for joining me on this podcast today to talk about his journey, and it was just a fantastic journey too, and I, for one, am privileged that I have been part of that and known him for the last 17 years, which has been fantastic. So always train hard. Find your training partner that you will push you to become a better karateka, and get your fitness up. Can't stress that enough, people. All right, behave yourself and see you at the dojo.